Ladies and gentlemen of the media, thank you for attending this press conference, July 4, 2025. We have online Devin Sears from Linden. Also online is Dr. Vince Adams, our advisor on oil and gas. And with me here at the head table, I have to my far left Kathy Hughes, and right next to me, Chairman of the party, Mr. David Patterson. We will get right on it because I know today is a very busy day. And so we will start with an opening statement by Devin Sears. Devin, over to you.
Thank you very much, Leslie. And once again, good afternoon, members of the media, fellow TV viewers across various platforms. As you're aware, Dave said well, has signed the proclamation to dissolve Parliament Regional Democratic Councils across Guyana. On that note, the Allied Church would like to extend heartfelt thanks to all Guyanese who voted, showing confidence in our leadership throughout your elected by electing your councillors at the Regional Democratic Council and, of course, the Member of Parliament who served without fear, favor, affection, or ill will. The road was not easy. Many sessions actually were challenging, but we persevered and we want to say thank you very much. We have faced several challenges throughout the last 5 years, serving you, and that primarily stems from budgetary discrimination and withholding of resources. Many times our councillors complain that accuse the PPP government of deliberately starving opposition control areas, such as the one that I represent, Region 10, and despite budgetary allocations and passed in Parliament. Also, we have seen obstruction of projects. One of those projects in Region here that we've championed was the construction of the new RD building. And after 5 years, that still is not done. However, they may miss this year because there's no election year, and decide to pass some amount of money to construct that new RD building. And that's one example. Also, we have seen the lack of community consultations happening. Many times, the central government comes in, decides to pave a road without consulting the community. And that is one of the things we have been championing. Consultation is always needed, so that the residents feel included in every decision that is made. Also, we've experienced this a lot, limited access to state media and public platforms. We, the opposition and AFC representatives, don't have access to state resources. And we believe in a democratic society, both sides of the coin need to be heard. Of course, when it comes to targeted political intimidation, we have seen this happening across the country with those particularly in the public service who align themselves with the AFC and the opposition. They're constantly victimized, whether being threatened to be demoted or transferred. And we believe that when we make up a new government, that this has to change. In some cases, civil servants aligned, so the opposition were transferred, and this is something really unacceptable. In terms of the managing of the regional resources, in many regions, the PPP ministers and appointed REOs are seen as undermining the authority of the elected RDC councillors. Basically, almost in every opposition-controlled region, the PPP attempts to do whatever they want. And as you're fully aware, media reps, that there are two sides of government, the administrative and the policy arm. And those who are elected into those offices, they set out the work plan based on the needs of the constituency they represent. And then the administrative arm should execute those projects. And on the contrary, we have observed that the administrative arm don't do what is voted on.
Recording in progress.
Also, we have seen limited collaborations happening. Many times, again, the regional reps are unaware of when ministers are coming into the region, what projects are being executed, etc. Additionally, I want to share with you that we have had several undermining of youth and community initiatives across the region. Programs designed by your representatives were either sidelined or somewhat
adapted or rebranded as if it's the PPP's own. And that was one of the challenges that we faced. These challenges reflect the wider political divide and lack of bipartisan cooperation that is existing in Guyana. Let me zoom in really quick to Region 10. Now, I know the PPP, they're watching, and they have attempted to buy Linden and Region 10, but they will not succeed. They come in every so often to sell dreams, to give out a few titles, to tell our people that they care about Region 10. But in actuality, after the AFC would have evaluated all the projects that they proposed and promised the people of Region 10, most of them is not complete. And I want to highlight quite a few of them. The Linden to Lethem Road, which, of course, David Patterson and the others under the APNU administration initiated, is by far, it's delayed. The project has started, but it's delayed significantly. We have had residents who worked on that project have been laid off indefinitely. Some of them had to even seek employment elsewhere. So it's behind schedule. Additionally, we have the Linden to Suicide Highway. It's delayed. The Linden-Mackenzie or the Mackenzie-Wismar Bridge, again, it started under us. The initiation started under us. It's behind schedule. They say that they care about athletes and the well-being of our youth, but a lot of the community center grounds and even the major sporting facilities is way behind schedule. Imagine the Linden synthetic track, which started under our administration. 5 years later, still not completed. Still not completed, way behind schedule. And they say that they care about youth. They've, Mackenzie Sports Club Ground, way behind schedule. I know many of you would have seen some of the posts that Gordon Mosley made most recent. It's way behind schedule. And again, they say they want Linden and Region 10 to support them. When it comes to Pokwani, a couple of years ago, $15 million was allocated towards the development of that facility. Right now, it's a swamp. All it is breeding, not athletes, not Olympic swimmers, but mosquitoes and reptiles. That's all that is breeding right now there in Pokwani. When it comes to the Bamia Primary School, over $300 million was allocated for its completion, and still that project has not been completed, it has not been commissioned or handed over to the regional administration, way behind schedule. The Linden Technical Institute Durham, that Durham is supposed to house students from as far as Madia or Pokwani and riverine areas, those students who want to advance in their vocational studies. That project started under the coalition. 5 years later, still not completed. And I know many of you might be saying, oh, but it started. The whole thing about it is that their intention was to come
Recording in progress.
Election and commission those projects and say, yes, we have done so good for Linden and Region 10. But in actuality, the lack of competence to deliver on these projects is missing. And we're saying so the residents of Region 10, and even those watching from Guyana, because similar stories, it's such across all the region about failed promises. Undoubtedly, the PPP has failed the people of Guyana, and of course, we're telling them that we need a change, and we need it now, and the alliance change is that change that's going to rescue Guyana out of the grip of dictatorship and all these things. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let us go forward for the gimmicks and the promises of the PPP. On the 1st of September, we're going to vote them out together. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Divin, and very well said. I can also add that some of the problems that you guys are experiencing in Region 10, you know, is multiplied across all regions, but the better person to speak on that would be David Patterson, who will be speaking after Dr. Vince Adams. Dr. Vince, your presentation, please.
Thank you, Beverly, and good afternoon to our Guyanese listeners and and outside of Guyanese listeners. I was planning on talking about oil and gas as usual, but there are two things that occurred here within the last week, and disappointingly has just not gotten the attention of the people of Guyana. The first one was the endorsement by the Guyana Cricket Board, Mr. Bisundayal Singh, endorsement of Mr. Ali and the PPPC. The AFC condemns the Guyana Cricket Board politicizing of cricket in Guyana, which is unprecedented endorsement of the PPPC. I personally was honored and privileged to have played cricket for Guyana, captained the Demerara Cricket Club, and played for Mackenzie Sports Club. But in addition, was a member of a select International Cricket Council team that wrote the Constitution and created the United States of America Cricket Board, cricket body, and followed on with being part of its administration. So I believe I have a fairly good understanding of ICC's policies, principles, and required code of conduct, and arguably the most sacred policy of the ICC and expectations of its members are to prohibit politics from entering cricket. Political. He said that by his own words. How could Mr. Singh claim that the Guyana Cricket Board is apolitical, but at the same time endorse it in the PPPC? Are we missing something here? Does Mr. Singh not know that apolitical means politically, and I went back to the dictionary to see if there is any leeway that apolitical, by him using so confidently this apolitical, there was any leeway that, he has some justification for saying so. I went back to the dictionary. So here are the meanings. Here's some words that means apolitical. Non-partisan. Politically disinterested. Non-partisan. Impartial. Neutral. Non-aligned. Unbiased. How could endorsing a political party, especially in such a politically sensitive country as Guyana, not be anything but political, Mr. Singh? Mr. Singh, with shocking arrogance, declared at the Berbice Annual Award Ceremony that it is with absolute conviction, listen to this, it is with absolute conviction and unwavering confidence that I, as president of the Guyana Cricket Board, and on behalf of its entire membership, hereby publicly and wholeheartedly endorse the leadership and presidency of President Ali and the PPPC. What he's saying there is that he's representing the entire cricketing community, all of the clubs in Guyana. Mr. Singh further doubled down on this outrageousness by issuing a statement that it is nothing but a full-throated speech for the PPPC. Here's what he said. Judge for yourself. In quotes, President Ali is a leader of exceptional charisma, vision, and integrity. His commitment to building one Guyana, and we know what that one Guyana, which is a PPP political slogan, a nation where all people, regardless of background, ethnicity, or political persuasion, have the opportunity to thrive, is well known. That is a political endorsement and the speech. Mr. Singh unquestionably has the unmitigated right to endorse whosoever he wants and whichever party he wants to endorse. But he has absolutely no right to commandeer the rights of all of the clubs and their members claiming to speak on their behalf. This glaring political biasness is irresponsible and disdainful of the cricket community and fans of Guyana. Notwithstanding the clear violations of the ICC rules, did Mr. Singh obtain the permission of, for example, the Demerara Cricket Club and the Mackenzie Cricket Club, which I played for, and the Martinos Cricket Club, to declare that they endorse the PPP? Because when he makes those statements, it implies that these clubs under the Guyana Cricket Board are also endorsing. This could have been written by the PPP themselves. Their PR team must have written this, whatever his endorsement for him. But like I said, I've revered wearing the national cap and playing club and intercounty cricket in Guyana, with the most pleasurable aspect of it being the unspoken rule of non-political behavior, understood and respected by all with whom I played and interacted with in the cricket community. But most importantly, cricket always bore the mantle of being the one strand of our culture that manifests unity across all racial and political lines. Sadly, Mr. Singh and the Ghana Cricket Board has now torn this good sport of unity on top of its head. Um, the other issue that I want to discuss here, just a few days ago, there was a visit by the PPPC, and apparently it was led by Minister Mustafa to the Barakara school. They when the team, and they were all done in their red attire, cap and t-shirts and everything else. When they arrived, they shut down the school to start with. They shut down the school, occupied the school. Then they put the t-shirts and cap on these kids' heads and on their bodies, and then taking pictures with them. Um, this here is sheer propaganda and brainwashing of these kids, and it is despicable. Here it is that the parents are sending their kids to school, and then when they got there, they're hijacking them, putting them in their uniform, to spread their propaganda. Um, you know, I want to know if Mr. Put the shoe on the other foot, if Mr. Mustafa and the rest of the PPP operatives, how would they like for the APNU or the AFC to go to the schools that their kids are right now, with green and yellow t-shirts and caps, and put on their kids bodies? Did they get the permission of the parents to perform such atrocities? I bet you not. But this here again, the only place that this sort of things happens is in with Kim Jong Un in North Korea. So what the PPP is doing again is bringing to the surface their communist, way, their ideology. I think the PPP must apologize to the kids, to the parents, and to this nation. This behavior is immoral. It's inhuman. As a matter of fact, it's even it's even creepy as far as I'm concerned. So the PPP in this series is despicable, and they cannot be abusing our kids like this. So I call upon them, or we call upon them, to apologize to the nation for doing such a heinous crime against the young people of Barakara and the rest of the nation. Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you, Dr. Vince, for bringing those two very important matters to the attention of the press and the public. We'll now have a statement from Chairman of the party, David Patterson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, members of the media and all that are watching today. My first statement is on the Wales Gas to Shore project. The latest saga surrounding the PPP's flagship project, the Wales Gas to Shore project, further confirms that this project was poorly planned, poorly executed, and result in the biggest failed project in the history of the country. The country can recall that this project was launched with the greatest of fanfare at the State House by none other than the President Irfan Ali, in the presence of the diplomatic corps in April of 2021. At that time, there was a total price tag of US $900 million. This was the PPP's price tag. The AP and UAFC's price tag was under $700 million. But In April 2021, the total price tag was $900 million and a completion date of September 2024. On April the 30th, 2021, 4 years ago, the Alliance for Change warned the country that the project proposed by the PPP was not economically, technically, or environmentally sound or sustainable. The promised reduction of electricity prices to 5 cents per megawatt was based on voodoo economics. We urge the PPP to conduct further detailed studies before the country is saddled with the largest ever PPP White Elephant project. Over the last 4 years, instead of exercising caution, the PPP has recklessly plowed ahead with this project, completely disregarding all the warning signs, launched personal attacks against any citizen or political party who dared to question what was plainly obvious to the entire nation, that the project was failing. The projected final cost of this project has risen from $900 million in 2021 to over $2.4 billion and climbing today, an increase of 170%. The completion date has slipped from September 2024 to the end of 2026, a more than 2-year delay with the same project deliverable, 300 megawatts of electricity. Nothing has expanded. Over the last 4 years, the PPP has changed their promises made to this country. At the launch of this project in 2021, they promised, and I quote, electricity rates would be 5 US cents per megawatt. 2 years later, in 2023, that promise was changed to they will cut electricity bills in half. So now, the current promise on completion of the project will reduce electricity bills. This is a clear indication that they know that the economic model on which they based the project was absolutely not viable. This project has been subjected to 2 international arbitrations today. An additional claim is rumored to be prepared. It has now been confirmed that the joint venture partnership conducting the project will be dissolved, further extending the 2-year delay. In 2021, and I want the nation to note this, the PPP sought to justify this project as being urgently needed. Since in 2021, they claimed that the peak electricity demand by 2025, this year, would be 407 megawatts. A figure that the Alliance for Change immediately challenged as inflated and unrealistic. And that it was a figure simply used to justify the project. It's interesting to note as we sit here in 2025, July, the current peak demand for Guyana is 220 megawatts, almost 50% below that projection, almost 200 megawatts below what the PPP claimed that they would need by 2025. AFC acknowledges the need for improved power generation to meet the country's demand. However, we maintain that this project has been poorly designed and executed. To ensure that the country receives value for money, immediately after the September elections, we will conduct a full audit, technical and financial, of the project. And with the help of qualified resource personnel, we will seek to ensure that the final project will deliver to the nation a workable power solution. End to that. I want to make 2 other brief statements, if you don't mind. Over the last 5 years, and this is a statement on the Hinterland Road, and this is a statement requested by our comrades in the hinterlands to be brought to the attention of the nation. Over the last 5 years, 2021 to 2025, the PPP has budgeted and expended over 27 billion Guyana dollars on Hinterland Road. In 2021, they spent 2.15 billion, 22 3.4, 23 6.5. Last year, 6.4, and this year, they have budgeted $9 billion. This is almost 3.5 times the money available to the previous AP and UAFC administration. Unfortunately and sadly, after expending $27 billion, this is equivalent to 135 million US, the roads in the hinterlands are impassable. The Mabura to Letem Road, impassable. The Letem to Aishalton Road, impassable. The Mabura to Kudukari, impassable. Minibuses are now required to pay $15,000 for a tractor to pull them through the bad sectors of the road. It is noteworthy that with a budget 3.5 times less than what the PPP had at its disposal, we were able to ensure, the previous administration were able to ensure that all the roads remained passable and operable during the rainy seasons as well as in the dry seasons. We were able to extend the road network, upgrade the road networks into certain areas. We prudently spent the money to ensure that our hinterland brothers and sisters could be able to use in the road network, reduce cost of living. Sadly, the PPP, with this great amount of money available to them, has squandered it in corrupt and illegal practices, and our brothers in the hinterland are feeling the results of that. Fortunately, right after, as I said before, right after the change of government in September, we will revert to what we did previously, awarding road contracts to qualified contractors, maintaining the roads every year, every month, all around, so that it can be passable and operable. So while we do empathize with your current situation, what I can assure you is relief is 58 days away. And finally, in his press conference yesterday, Jagdeo, in his response to the points raised on the Ogle Bypass Road, never addressed the issue about the massively inflated costs. However, he sought to wave it off by displaying a study which was done by the PPP's administration in 2003. What Mr. Jagdeo did not inform the country is that there's been at least 3 other feasibility studies before his 2003. There were 2 in the 70s. I know if Adam Harris is on, he could justify it. There's one in the 80s. The southern approach, southern entrance and southern approach to Georgetown and linkage to the East Coast was something that was conceptualized by the State Planning Commission and the Ministry of Public Works, and since the 70s. No doubt, Mr. Jagdeo, I know that he probably was a water boy at State Planning, but he worked there. So he would have been very aware that the study that he showed there to justify or to try to say to his supporters that the PPP came up with it, he most likely would have known about it, and he's being dishonest. Obviously, that's what he does. He throws out snippets as red meat to his supporters so that they can have something to hold on to deflect. the point which we made and which we continue to make. That in 2019, December of 2019, a project was completely designed. This is what was built now there, which included 25.42 kilometers of road, budgeted in total, including contingencies and consultant fees, for $208 million. Had connections, and I repeat this, to North Rumpelt, Eccles, Great Diamond, and Mucker. And I use Mucker for last because I was sad to say, I mean, I don't know what the people of Mucker would have done to the PPP, but sad but is no road coming through you. That's the PPP. And they did that, and we spoke about this here, so the bypassing of communities that traditionally does not support the PPP. This is not a glaring example. The PPP commissioned a couple of days ago, with the usual fanfare, a road for 7.8, of length of 7.8 kilometers for $133.8 million US dollars, which equates to 17.8 million US dollars per kilometer, as opposed to a complete project by the AP and UAFC administration in 2019, which would have cost 8.18 kilometers, million US dollars per kilometer. So what we have here currently, and what JAGDIO has failed to address, and we refuse to just simply pull a report done in 2003. And yeah, whoopee, yes, you did a report in 2003, but obviously it was done before. The great thinkers of the 70s and 80s, and 60s, 70s, 80s, the pioneering era, came up with the concept of the Southern approach way before you did. I can say for sure that since the return of the PPP in 1992, they have not produced an original idea. Well, I would like to exclude the period of which Chelly Jagan was there up to 97. So I would say 1997 to 2025, they have not produced an original idea, save and except the Skeldon Sugar Factory and Silica City. Both of them is a true and honest testament of how deep and how innovative they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. David Patterson. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, of the media, we will now invite you to ask your questions. If you can use the raise hand feature. At this point, I don't see any hands raised.
No, sure.
Yes, please, we have NCN. Please go ahead.
The party's preparations for nomination day. Yes, Tracy Romalo from NCN. The party's preparations for nomination day, as well as when will the party launch its you call it, your campaign, yes, campaign.
All right, I will take that. The party's preparation for nomination day is well on stream. We have completed several of our regions already, which is both signatories as well as candidates. We're obviously what they're doing, and they're coming in. We just received our list from Region 7 just 2 days ago. So there's a team that's going over reviewing it. So we're not worried or concerned whatsoever about our participation. We are worried and we are concerned about GCOM, and we continue to be concerned about GCOM. We had cause today to dispatch a letter to GCOM to inquire on certain statements they would made, public statements. And one of them, which we were concerned about, and we've written to the chairwoman, I'm sure she would have received it by now, is to ask in one of their statements, they are listing that the final date for the joiners, if a party would like to consider enter into a joiner, is July the 21st. which is approximately 4 to 5 days before the elections. The law states that the deadline for submission of a joint list is 25 days before the election. We've written to them to find out exactly what is that, why are they even contemplating deviation from the law. We've also written to them to ask them, which I know, what is the procedure for parties to go in to submit their lists on nomination day on July the 14th. We have not heard about it. I mean, as you know, traditionally what happens is that the persons may camp out beforehand so they can be forced. But if GCOM doesn't list what the procedure is, because even if you camp out there or if you stay out there for 2 days, and GCOM has a totally different procedure, which is only known, and 90% of the time will only be known to the PPP. So the PPP, whatever advantages we find that GCOM has been given the PPP, whatever possible advantages, and it's strange that to be ahead of this election. And it's quite strange the PPP has been boasting that they would win by a landslide, yet they need GCOM to boost them in every single area. This clearly shows that, just as I was saying, they're very deceitful, and the day of reckoning is coming. So while we are prepared, we do not think that GCOM is prepared. We also, in the letter today, we also asked them to clarify the issue of the joinders. What is GCOM's position? Meaning, I think in September 2024, the former legal officer made a statement. GCOM today, almost a year after, has not officially said what is the position with the joinders list. So while we are personally working to meet their import deadlines, they unfortunately are not being as forthright as they should be. And in addition to the question of the launch of our party, that will be announced, but most likely it will be around July the 14th or 15th official. Shortly or the same day or shortly thereafter.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. I see a hand raised. Is that Chronicle? Please go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. Mr. Patterson, we've seen...
Can you identify yourself, please?
Sorry, Shamar Musa, Guyana Chronicle. Yes, Mr. Patterson, we've seen the most recent resignations from the AFC from 2 persons from the youth arm. And they've made claims about the party's failure to create a space for inclusion, disrespectful and homophobic behavior, among other things. Does the party have a response to these claims that were made by the 2 members that recently resigned?
Well, I mean, look, as we've said, and we continue to say it, that this is a free and liberal party. We practice liberal democracies. If a member chooses to resign, if he chooses to leave the party, while we obviously will be disappointed at that decision, we wish them well. So whomever has moved on, we wish them well in their future endeavors. Our door has never remained closed to former and current members. And in the question of liberal democracy, I want you, Mr. Musa, remember that is this Alliance for Change, myself personally, that tabled an amendment for the deliberation in the constitutional reform when the constitutional reform was going to be comprised. I tabled an amendment that we must have representatives of a diverse group, not only women, children, but from the it must include persons' sexual orientation. Now, we tabled that amendment, and it was pulled back by the PPP. It's hard to think that we can be accused of not being tolerant when we were going to enshrine their representation in the Constitution, their right to representation. So, Mr. Musa, while it's a political season, I hope that you do a little research in future before you make these claims against our party.
As we say, let the record speak.
For itself,
Any
is
other
there.
question?
I was just raising the concerns that were cited from the members. So it's not something that I'm putting out there. This is what the
Yeah,
persons.
We understand your role,
We,
Mr.
we
Musa.
understand you, Mr. Musa. It's nothing personal, but I do think that the track record of the Alliance for Change speaks for itself. While there may be issues within internal issues, personality issues, and those things like that, overall, as a policy of the party, we have demonstrated inclusionary for all race, ethnicity, and sexual orientation. We've done that. We've been the forefront of that without fear or favor.
Thank you. Any other follow-up, Mr. Musa? Or any other question from anyone else?
Hi, good afternoon. Svetlana Marshall from News Source.
Go ahead,
Mr.
Svetlana.
Patterson, good afternoon. Mr. Patterson, this afternoon we saw Mr. Mark Gorin, I think he's the regional chairman for Region 10, sorry, the vice regional chairman for Region 10, indicating that he is endorsing Mr. Azruddin Mohammed, I think the Win Party. Could you say if Mr. Gorin has resigned from the AFC? What's the situation?
I have to confirm, but I think quite a while ago, Mr. Gorin had submitted his resignation, and once again, about a month, 3 weeks, a month ago, you know what I mean? Unlike anybody else, he did not cite any reason. He just said it out that he has been approached and he considered it, and he wants to join that slate, and like everything else, we wished him well. And we continue to wish him well, and his party well. We're wishing all parties safe next to the PPP well.
Any other questions? If you do, please go ahead now. Okay, I don't see any hands. I don't hear anyone. So let me take this opportunity as we bring this press conference to a close to say congratulations and happy anniversary to the Caribbean community. It is good to be part of a larger community. Guyana was at the forefront of forging regional unity, and it's a proud track record. One, of course, that the Alliance for Change will strengthen. And to our friends in America, happy 4th of July. Kathy, David, Devin, Dr. Vince, and especially to the members of the media, both at Center for Change and online, thank you